Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside the African Campaign, Designer's Signature 2nd Edition. This is a game designed by John Edwards and published by Compass Games. As it says there, the Designer's Signature Edition 2nd Edition, now it comes with the mounted map, because originally there was the 1st edition that Compass had done a few years ago, and it was the Designer Signature Edition, but now they've added the mounted maps in, and it gets us the Designer's Signature 2nd Edition. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. The African Campaign Designer Signature Edition marks the return of a true wargaming classic by John Edwards, remastered and updated with this all-new edition. Celebrated by many as Afrika Korps done right, this two-player game allows players to explore the key elements of the Desert War beginning in December 1940 with Wavell's first offensive, Operation Compass, against the Italian forces of Marshal Graziani, and culminating in December 1942 when the Americans landed in Rommel's rear, thus sealing the ultimate fate of the Afrika Korps. The African Campaign recreates the ebb and flow of battle and rapid swinging action in the desert as the pendulum swings, with both sides launching major offensives during the North African Campaign. Gameplay is swift thanks to the low counter density while capturing the key facets of the campaign, including supply, ports, replacements, Axis fuel, strategic movement, air power, flak units, minefields, and more. This Designer Signature Edition provides an updated treatment to the Jedco 2nd Edition release and includes known errata along with new optional rules and variants as published in Panzerfaust number 74, July-August 1976. This edition serves as the ultimate treatment in paying homage to the original classic designed by John Edwards. While the standard game remains true to the original, we've added bonus material to explore other facets of the war in the desert without sacrificing game playability. For your gaming enjoyment, this game has been supersized by featuring a larger playing surface, 17 by 50.75 inches on a mounted map, and larger 5/8 inch counters to deliver an optimal play experience that can be completed in a single sitting to be enjoyed by both grognards and newcomers alike. And you can see the map up here and the counters. And then we get the components, 2 mounted maps, 1 counter sheet of 176 counters, 2 player aid cards, 2 order of battle appearance cards, and 1 rule book. It's rated as medium complexity. Time scale is 2 turns equals 1 month. Map scale is 12 miles per hex. Unit scale is battalions to divisions. It is for 1 to 2 players, best with 2. The suitability for solitaire is very high. The average play time is 3 to 4 hours, and it is recommended for ages 14 and up. So let's take a look inside and see what we get. All right, get our 1d6. A little sheet of errata here says Combat Engineer, play before allied player enters minefield hex to immediately treat it as having no effect. We have our rules of play, our player aids, got a few of those. Our counter sheet, and our 2 mounted maps. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And here's a look at the mounted maps that come with the game. It's your standard North Africa map. It's just long and thin, and you can see most of it here. I missed out on the bottom left and the bottom right portions of it. I just don't have the focal length for it. But all you're seeing there is desert. You're not missing anything really specific. You've seen a bit of the desert. You've seen it all pretty much. But it's got the area from Tripoli in Libya all the way to Alexandria in Egypt is covered. And you've got different types of information boxes around the outside. You've got your CRT, Port of Tripoli, the Axis fuel track, Port of Benghazi, Port of Tobruk, and then the Port of Alexandria boxes there. You got your turn record track at the top, the Axis infantry replacement and fuel table, and then the terrain effects chart. Pretty simple in the desert. You've got clear, you've got roads, you've got ridges, and you've got plateaus, a couple of forts that are spread out, as well as some cities, ports, and supply locations sprinkled throughout the map. But if you're familiar with North Africa games, you know this is pretty much the standard layout you're going to see in any game from North Africa. But the mounted map is a nice addition, and Compass did, again, another fantastic job. Next, we'll take a look at the player aids that come with the game. First up is the Axis Order of Battle. we have our at-start units, as well as our reinforcements and their associated turn numbers. Then we have a breakdown of the Italian and German step reductions, the eliminated Axis units location, and then we have the Axis replacement and fuel table, which is also on the map. Next, we have the Allied order of battle, which follows the same format as the Axis order of battle. On the next sheet, we have the combat results table, terrain effects chart, and the Axis infantry replacement and fuel table, which are all also on the map. On the back, we have a couple of optional items. We have the player event summaries and the event sheet summaries for both Allied and Axis events. Next, we'll take a look at the counter sheet that comes with the game. We have the Allied forces on the left-hand side, the Italians and the Germans making up the Axis forces on the right. Some administrative counters along the bottom, and then we have the event chits, which are an optional rule that can be used to expand some variability in the game if you choose to use them. Next, we'll take a look at the rules. This is a 16-page full-color rulebook. On the front, we have the table of contents listing out all the rules and their associated page numbers. Inside of the front cover, we have the introduction. Then we get to the game equipment, explaining to you how to read the counters, all the different unit designations, the division breakdowns, your administrative counters, and then the order of battle displays, all the things we've already looked at. Explains to you how to win the game, zones of control, your stacking, and then we get to the sequence of play on page 5. Reinforcements and withdrawals, how to move your units, movement restrictions, several illustrated examples sprinkled throughout the book. Road movement overruns, strategic movement, exiting the map, and then combat on page 7. Then we have how to use the combat results table, explanation of your combat results, advance after combat, combat losses, replacements, division breakdown and build-up, your ports, supply, air units, minefields, and then how to set up the game is on page 10. Then we get into the optional rules. First off, we stop at page 10 with your base game rules. So as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward game to understand. I've played it a few times and it's a really fun game, and it's very easy to get into. And I like the way the rules are written too. So this is something that newer wargamers won't feel intimidated by, because it really does explain it to you in a very straightforward manner. Then we get into the optional rules: friendly units and retreats, initiative, tactical advantage, determined defense, and maximum effort. So I guess Deadpool's involved in this, but pretty cool. I know that you have to use the determined defense if you're going to use maximum effort. Those two do have to be used together. You can't use one and not the other. Then we have the bonus minefield markers, and then the event sheets that will throw in some different historical flavor. Then we have historical notes. Then we have the counter manifest at the back, and on the back of the rules we have the sequence of play outline listed out for you. And that is a look at everything you get inside of the African Campaign, Designer's Signature, 2nd edition. This is a game designed by John Edwards and published by Compass Games. Once again, Compass brings back an old classic and does a fantastic job with it. Now we've got mounted maps. This game came out several years ago with just your standard paper map. Now we've got mounted maps. For those who really love mounted maps, you're going to love this. Compass did a great job with them, and they did a great job just bringing this game back, because like I said before, it's a fun game. It's a straightforward game. This is a great game to introduce newer wargamers to wargaming with, because it's not a super complex game. You have very limited movement areas because you're in North Africa, so the approaches are going to be pretty obvious for everybody, which means their movement is going to be easy to understand, and then defending against movement from the opponent is going to be easier for a newer wargamer to understand. So this is a great game to introduce new wargamers to wargames with. So if you are curious about what games to get, this was one that I would definitely have on my list. The other added bonus is it's still a fun game for experienced grognards. You could sit down and jam this out in 3-4 hours and have a lot of fun, playing it opposed or playing solitaire. But looking forward to getting this one back on the table, because like I said, I've had a lot of fun with this in the past. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you'd be curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.